cow-calf nutrition, but he said he's excited to get back to look at goats. We welcome him to the ring. We thank all our goat sponsorships as well, including Pender FFA alumni and supporters, Aurora Cooperative, Newman Grove FFA, Southeast Community College, and Heartland FFA. They are your sponsors for tonight's FFA Goat Showmanship. With the note from the ringman, we are ready to get underway. This is your out-of-school showman, out-of-school showman.
Well, it's a privilege to be here this evening, be part of the Nebraska State Fair. We start out just one group of this oldest division of showmanship, and with that we have quite a few exhibitors, and probably some of the best that represent what we have in the goat barn. I think I have 4 exhibitors over here that do a really, really exceptional job, but nothing to take away from a deep class in terms of this division. With that being said, I think, like I said, these 4 exhibitors, just in terms of their presence and their reactivity to where I am in the ring and what's going on, I think is really, really good. I'm sure everyone out in the stands has their personal favorite amongst these. The one that is in the front, if we just want to nitpick that one, maybe a smaller goat that wants to just drive really, really hard, and so times maybe doesn't just look quite as comfortable in terms of her skeleton as the ones we get further on back. The second one there, the weather, I think that young lady does a really, really good job. Probably when you're trying to get that one to go, you want to kind of wrap your hand on its show side to get it to go, and a little bit just distracting trying to read that goat. I'll be honest, I think these were the first 2 exhibitors in the ring. First impressions are everything. I was like, dang, this is going to be a really, really deep set of showmen. But I think, with that, it was a deep set of showmen. These 2 still really, really rose to the top. Splitting hairs in my mind, I think there's one who, just in terms of the pace that they take their goat around the ring, I think the composure, but the quickness in terms of just getting them stuck, not having to try really, really hard to get a drive on it when it is their turn for me to handle their goat. The young lady is going to be the champion, but the young man does an excellent job as well. Let's give them all a round of applause.
Hold on, goat exhibitors. Don't leave yet. In the ring now is your senior showman. Here's your result of out-of-school showman. Blue ribbon winners include Logan Berman from the Wisner-Pilger FFA, Shelby Carr from Alliance FFA, Elena Cutlers from the Central FFA, Kaylee Davis from Hyannis FFA, Haley Finn from Twin River FFA, Madison Kramer from the Shelton FFA, Kylie Luby from the Seward FFA, Zach Pittman from the Norris FFA, Matea Roberts from the Maywood FFA, Jacob Schultz from the Syracuse Dunbar Avoca FFA, Megan Tenbenzel from the Cambridge FFA, and Trevin Veers from the Thayer Central FFA. Your purple ribbon winners include Adeline Crockett from the Bruning Davenport FFA, Carrie Saney from the Norfolk FFA, Seth Williams from the Bishop Newman FFA, and represented in the final drive will be Ashley Saney from the Norfolk FFA. Again, in the ring now, you're watching your senior showman.
Well, just one class of seniors in goat showmanship, and really half the numbers probably compared to that last seat we had. So can go through them a little bit faster. I think with that said, a good group of exhibitors. Obviously, we've got a lot of different showing styles with the breeding in the markets and then even their approaches within that. And so I think that's some things to sort through and take into consideration because there are some different approaches to it. I think with that being said, three of them that I have on the middle of the ring do a really, really nice job. The one that's going to go ahead and lead off the lineup, I think that goat's probably just given her the hardest fit. Once she gets it where she wants, I think that one always looks really, really good when she has them stuck on the profile, rock hard to the touch. The exhibitor there in the middle, maybe the carefree one of the three, and definitely don't mean that in a bad way. Doesn't really, break a sweat or get too worked up in anything. But I'll be honest, I promise not every class will I take the first exhibitor out of the gate to win showmanship, so don't fight for the first spot. But the young man here in the back with the red goat's going to be your champion showman in this group.
In the ring now is our junior showman in the FFA Goat Show here at the Nebraska State Fair. Here's your results from the senior class. Blue ribbon winners will include McKay Anselmo Gilman from the Waverly FFA, Leighton Dallin from the Central City FFA, Claire Gangwish from the Kearney FFA, Kayla Ruby from the Wilcox Hildreth FFA, Faith Unwiller from the Laurel Concord Coldridge FFA, and Taveri Viras from the Thayer Central FFA. Purple ribbon winners will include Colton Burnt from the Riverside FFA, Avery Blair from the Morrill Mitchell FFA, and your division champion going on to the final dive, Brooke Settles from the Central FFA.
Well, just one class of junior goat exhibitors over here. I think, maybe a little bit different dynamic in this class compared to the last one. I think there were some that right as they came in and hit the ring out of the gate really caught my eye in those previous classes. And, maybe in this group shook out just a little bit different. I think a really competitive group of exhibitors, but maybe really the ones that went ahead and surfaced to the top here, the pair we have over on this side. I think I probably paid less attention to them or noticed them less often in this class, just because I think in terms of the fundamentals and the mechanics, they always just had them pretty well put into place, and didn't ever look at that exhibitor and maybe want them to just tweak something this or there. So I think two exhibitors just in terms of the basics that do a really good job. Really, the exhibitor that I probably paid the least attention to from a noticing negative standpoints is the one at the front. He's going to be your champion. But a good group of exhibitors. Let's give them a round of applause.
In the ring now is our sophomore showman. Here's the results of your junior class. Blue ribbon winners include Aiden Boniface from Blue Hill FFA, Ashley Carr from Alliance FFA, London Costanza from the Cozad FFA, Cami Hell from Lee FFA, Colt Leaker from Deschler FFA, Addison Lemke from the Freeman FFA, Michaela Menke from the Stewart FFA, Justine Pope from the Shelton FFA, Ashley Robinson from the Wallace FFA, Carter Wander from the Syracuse Dunbar Avoca FFA, McKenna Sheik, Purple Ribbon wins, Barons from the Wilbur Claytonia FFA, and congratulations to Sebastian De La Cruz from the Lakeview FFA, your Purple Ribbon winner and division champion, coming back for the final drive.
Again, a really deep class of showmanship exhibitors here in this heat. Just one class again. I believe maybe one more single class division, and then we'll move to a two-class division that we'll have to sort through a little bit harder. I think with that being said, two showmen here in the middle of the ring, obviously quite different in terms of what they're exhibiting and thus their showmanship style. I think for the kind of goat they're showing, though, both of them do a really good job. Dang near every time you look at that young man there with the weather, got that one driving pretty hard, so his spine's right, his neck comes out of him right, and his muscles tense. I think just getting a good drive on that goat, really good. The exhibitor there in the front with the older doe there, obviously different in terms of style, but I think getting that one's head and just presence put together in its front 1/3, getting its feet set square and doing it pretty quickly and easily. Another really good representation just of quality showmen. You can go either way. I'm going to go ahead and use the young lady there in the front for champion, but both do a really nice job. Let's give them a hand.
Entering the ring now will be our freshman showmen as they walk into the Nebraska Farm Bureau show ring. Here's your results coming out of your sophomore class. Purple ribbon winners include Chloe Cutlers from the Central FFA, Peyton Hartman from Adams Central FFA, Mahia Jones from Nebraska Ag Academy FFA, Abby Negley from the Gothenburg FFA, Cash Parrish from the Heartland FFA, Drew Saney from the Norfolk FFA, and Aiden Schindler from the Hartington Newcastle FFA. Purple ribbon winners include Jace Allen from the Scotts Bluff FFA, and your purple ribbon division grand champion is Kelsey Luby from the Seward FFA.
Well, a single class again, and a group of exhibitors that definitely deserve a big congratulations. I think, top to bottom, a group of exhibitors that doing the right thing in terms of mechanics. We talked with a couple of the exhibitors over here, and probably two of them that go ahead and just rise to the top in my mind. I think between the two, there's one who was probably just a shot easier to get the same kind of drive and look put together in that goat. Maybe it's partially due to just probably a shot more comfort in that goat skeleton and a little bit more willing to operate. But with that being said, I think these two do an exceptional job. The exhibitor there in the front with the paint is going to be your champion, though. Let's give him a round of applause, please.
We're set to bring in the junior high class 1 of 2. In the meantime, your results from your freshmen. Blue ribbon winners include Levi Finn from the Twin River FFA, Addison Howarder from the Cozad FFA, Emma Howarder from the Cozad FFA, Jace Johnson from the Bloomfield FFA, and Grace Mitchell from O'Neill FFA. Purple ribbon winners include Brooke Carey from the Westholt FFA, and your division champion purple ribbon winner. Congratulations to Ethan Hilgenkamp of the Arlington FFA. Again, in the ring now will be junior high showmanship, class number 1.
Well, here in the youngest group of showmanship, we've got 2 heats, so went ahead and ran through this group pretty quickly. I think, first impression, just sorting yourself to the top is important. We got 3 exhibitors we're going to bring back here in a moment. Talked with these exhibitors about some things to maybe just tweak first half of this division, but let's give them all a big round of applause, please. We'll see how the other half sorts out.
Entering the ring now is our final class of junior high showmen. Your results from junior high showman class 1. Blue ribbon winners include Brooklyn Dennis from Syracuse Dunbar Avoca FFA, Skylar Hansen from the Seward FFA, Isla Havlicka from the Freeman FFA, Drake Lemke from the Freeman FFA, Maya Motalka from the Central FFA, L.A. Negley from the Gothenburg FFA, and Mackenzie Peitzmeyer from the Diller Odell FFA. Purple ribbon winners coming back for the junior high runoff will be Allison Kemp from the Wallace FFA, Colby Hartman from the Adams Central FFA, and to Briley Ammons from the Oakland Craig FFA.
If I had to guess here, we probably split the heats by age within the two classes. It looks like a younger group of exhibitors here. I think with that being said, probably a tougher decision to land on the three that we're going to bring back, just because I think top to bottom, a group of real competitors who would give those the class there ahead of us a good run for their money. We're going to bring back these three with those past three and sort through those a little bit more, but put your hands together for all these group of exhibitors, please.
In the ring now is to make your selection of your junior high division champion. Here's your results out of class number 2. Blue ribbon winners include Noah Hausenkamp from the West Point FFA, Alicia Johnson from the Silver Creek FFA, Mesa Jones from the Ansley FFA, and Allison Ruzak from the Central FFA. Purple ribbon winners will include Hadley Picorni from the Wheeler Central FFA, Aiden Berman from the Wisner Pilger FFA, and heading to the back page, blue ribbon winners include Caitlin Rezak from the Central FFA and Kipton Schindler from the Ord FFA, and purple ribbon is to Arabella Rossmeyer from the Shelton FFA.
Well, with taking 3 exhibitors from each of those 2 heats and bringing them out here, 6 of them, I think, a really, really strong group. I'm sure everyone's got their favorites ringside. Worked them just a little bit different because we did have heats, and maybe just make it a little bit quicker and give them an instance where they have to respond really fast, and you know, the spotlight's on them. Talked with each of them a little bit, nitpicking them. Like I said, a really, really good group of exhibitors. The one who's champion showman, you know, is pretty wound up out here, but I think that's because they know exactly how that goat needs to be put together, and they're not going to settle until they can get that done. So I still think the best showman out here is the young man right here.
And congratulations goes out to Aiden Bierman from the Wisner Pilger FFA, coming back to compete in the final drive for the GOAT Showmanship. As they get them all lined up, we're ready to bring them back in the ring. Ladies and gentlemen, let's first of all give a round of applause for your youth that competed today in the showmanship, and this is the final drive of the FFA Goat Showman here at the Nebraska State Fair. Coming out of the out of school includes Ashley Saney from the Norfolk FFA, the senior division. Brooke Settles with the Central FFA. For the juniors, Sebastian Dela Cruz with the Lakeview FFA. Sophomore is Kelsey Luby at the Seward FFA. Freshman Ethan Hilgenkamp with the Arlington FFA. And your junior high is Aiden Bierman from the Wisner Pilger FFA.
Well, took just a minute there to go ahead and let the cattle drive finish up. I'm sure just the few I saw go in there definitely deserve their recognition. I think with that being said, I'm pretty proud of the group of exhibitors that we have over here, the families and the teams behind them and the exhibitors themselves. Should all be really, really proud. So would you please, for these exhibitors and the rest that came out of their classes, give them a big round of applause. You know, waiting for the cattle side to finish, you know, you can keep working these kids harder and harder, and, you know, they're still on top of their game every time. A great group of exhibitors, and I think, you know, really here it's just the kind of showman and personal preference that hits you hard. You know, to you older divisions, those exhibitors that we had come out of the youngest class and the young man here that probably got the short stick, you know, having to run his heat and then his division and now the grand drive here. And so, you know, had to been out here the longest. But if you're not busting your butt to make sure that you're going to keep staying on top of those younger kids, they'll sure pass you in a hurry, and I think definitely deserve a lot of recognition. With that being said, there's a champion first thing out this afternoon that's going to be your champion.
And congratulations to Ashley Saney from the Norfolk FFA, your supreme champion when it comes to showmanship here at the Nebraska State Fair for the goats. Stick around, folks, because we are getting ready here momentarily to start our breeding show for the goats. But a quick shout out and thank you to the Pender FFA alumni and supporters, Aurora Co-op, Newman Grove FFA, Southeast Community College, and Heartland FFA, your sponsors for the FFA Goat Showmanship Competition. Well, we are ready to get back underway with our breeding goat show here at the Nebraska State Fair for our FFAers. Our sponsors include the 4S Goat Expo, Nebraska FFA alumni and supporters, and Southeast Community College. We welcome Colby Redifer back in as our judge this evening, as we will be finishing up our breeding goat show for the night. They will be back tomorrow, goats at 11:30 for the market side. Goats tomorrow morning will be to my right, your left. But momentarily, we'll get underway with the commercial breeding doe, Kid Class 1.
The first Doe kid class over here, I think we got 4 classes and pretty heavy in numbers. The lightweight class, obviously going to be quite a variety in terms of type and kind just because, are they small because they're not going to get big? Are they small because they're really green and young? Some things to sort out. I think with that, one that reads with some future but still really, really fresh and just right on in terms of how she's presented to me today is the class winner. I think that one just hit the ring with presence. I think that one hit the ring, really good in terms of her rib shape. That's, probably the most impressive one in terms of how she handles, really just stand up and bold in terms of a rack, a loin that matches it. That one I think has a lot of presence. Just standing there, you set that one into motion. I don't know if she's just a little tender in her foot. Definitely probably not just right in the assembly of her shoulder and knee, but I think gets around good enough for just the out there pieces in terms of look and power to go ahead and be the class winner. I think just a type and kind in building one right from the ground up. The one here in second, and just from the view that we get standing ringside, I think is really, really impressive. That one's neat and attractive in terms of how she's assembled up front, long and level and comfortable in terms of her structure. She's not the most blown apart today. I think, just relative to where she's at, she's going to be stout enough in my mind. And I expect her to just get better in the time, and that's why I went ahead and kept that one second. The one here in third, you want one that's just stout in terms of her skull and really stout everywhere. Her feet, her forearm, her chest, when you put your hands on her. That's a bold, wide open one. To me, this one's a class 1 goat that's not going to get really big in terms of just her future, a little bit round and just compact in terms of her build. Probably not quite my speed, but definitely some pieces for some people. I think the goat we have here in fourth, you just look at the fundamentals on that one. Is she wide enough? Is she correct enough? Is she just built and proportional enough? I think she, covers the basics really, really good. With that, I'm not sure she has some of the extras and maybe just is out there or just as neat in terms of how her hip and hind leg are assembled, or is just creased up in terms of her back shape, but a really good meat and potatoes kind of rude dough there. The one here in fourth, I think is a long, stretchy kind of, tall, elevated one. Probably with that length, just wants to break into some pieces. She's probably not quite as just good in terms of her forerib and her pin set relative to her chest. Probably one that just wants to get a little bit more awkward in terms of how she handles her hind leg with that extra length of body. We've got some hard touching ones, some ones that are really good in terms of their skeleton, but maybe not stout enough. Just some gives and takes, and then some that maybe just aren't quite ready yet. But like I said, a good class here of these lightweight does. We'll get into the next one, but let's give these exhibitors a round of applause.
We have 4 classes of commercial breeding doe kids. This is kid class 2 entering the ring. Red ribbon winner is coming out of class 1. Allison Rezak from Central FFA. Aiden Schindler from the Harlington Newcastle FFA. And Jesse Johnson from the Bloomfield FFA. Blue ribbon winners will include Jacob Schontz from the Syracuse Dunbar Avoca FFA, Levi Finn from the Twin River FFA, Kayla Rupi from the Wilcox Hildreth FFA, Nolan Hassenkamp from the West Point FFA, Emma Howarder from the Cozad FFA, Carter Wander from the Syracuse Dunbar Avoca FFA, Mia Carey from the West Holt FFA, Nolan Hassenkamp from the West Point FFA, Brooklyn Dennis from the Syracuse Dunbar Avoca FFA. Second purple will go to Adeline Crockett from the Bruning Davenport FFA. And first purple is Tatea Hamilton from the Nebraska Ag Academy.
We get here into class 2 of the does, again, in another really deep class. I think the pair we have on top are probably pretty similar in type and kind to the pair we had in the last class, but I flipped them this time, and I'll just walk you through my mindset. Got the kind of stock that I want to go after, but I think just the overwhelming totals at the same time play a part in it. This one is more like the goat that we had in second in that first class. I think, though, this one, you just study her as an individual. That one's silhouette and just how she operates in terms of her skeleton, the control and comfort she has on her feet and legs to handle her spine like that, the sweep to her lower body. I think that one's just absolutely beautiful from the side. Is she going to get stout enough? I am not going to use the stoutest, smallest, roundest ones unless I absolutely have to today. I'll probably take them a shot more like this. And, I think relative to herself, that one's borderline, and I went ahead and gave the nod to because I think she's so good in terms of the way she's built. The young lady here that brought the class winner from just the class prior, I think, again, one that's probably 12 o'clock and right in terms of her condition to be bloomy and shapely and just as massive and as ready as any goats in the class, but not too fat and quick and too far past their prime. I think that one has the advantage. That one's big in terms of her back shape. She's stout in terms of her feature. I think where the previous class winner probably was even more out there in her just crisp stand-up shape, this one probably doesn't just turn the edge of her shoulder back into her rack quite as good. One that maybe just wants to duck in terms of her hip and how she handles her hind leg, maybe just a little bit more awkward in her hock and just how she plants her pastern. So I don't think the extras maybe quite outweighed the nitpicky areas on this one compared to the previous class winner, but a dang good specimen there nonetheless. Again, kind of a goat that I think probably not just on either side of the pendulum out there as the two that we have ahead of her is the one here in third, but just a skeleton that's built right, a body shape that's productive, and some mass up high. I think she's really, really good. Probably not just the neatest and freakiest in her neck, maybe just a little bit plainer and rounder in terms of her shape, but a good one there to go third. A pair of goats here that I think are a little bit similar in terms of their type and kind, where they are just a shot shorter bodied, and with that, come at you pretty wide open relative to their length, handle big up high. This one probably is just a little bit plainer in how she's put together. Maybe I had a few more structural issues with the one in fifth. One to just kind of coil up in her loin and is lower in terms of her front end because of it. Wants to open up there in her shoulder, but power pieces, no doubt. Definitely a really attractive one that's going to come out next, but a good set here, maybe just not quite as stout as we work down the line. Let's give them all a round of applause.
We'll be bringing in kid class number 3 here momentarily. Here's your results of kid class 2. Red ribbon winners are Skylar Hansen from the Seward FFA, London Costanza from the Cozad FFA, Michaela Menke from the Stewart FFA. Blue ribbon winners are Nolan Hassenkamp from the West Point FFA, Brooklyn Dennis from Syracuse Dunbar Avoca FFA, Levi Kronk from the Summerland FFA, Zach Pittman from the Norris FFA, Levi Kronk from the Summerland FFA, Leroy Kronk again from the Summerland FFA. Purple ribbon winners will include Drew Saney from the Norfolk FFA, Maya Matalka from the Central FFA, Matea Roberts from the Maywood FFA. Second purple is Taya Hamilton from the Nebraska Ag Academy, and first purple will go to Ashley Saney from the Norfolk FFA. As you can see in the ring is kid class number 3 of 4. Again, for folks that have just wandered into the 5 Points Bank Arena, you are watching the FFA Breeding Goat Show. This is kid class number 3, kid class number 3 of 4. Under the commercial breeding doe category.
No, I think this third class here, probably not one that just I immediately tied to. I think there's a lot of pieces, both good and bad, to sort through and prioritize and preference to get your top five. I think with that, though, top to bottom, definitely the deepest class of does that we've had. I think ones here over on the fence that still offer a lot of value. No, I think when it came down to it and realized I needed to make a decision, um, you know, uh, I think following suit and staying true to the kind of goats I like, the lateness of maturity and just the attractiveness and the correctness of the goat that we're going to go ahead and lead off with is where I landed. That one's not just the biggest in terms of her pin set and leg. She's not probably the hairiest and therefore not just the coolest in terms of the hind leg she has dialed into her. But like I said, I think that one's really good in just the angles of her skeleton, handles herself extremely well. I still think that one's probably big enough in terms of just her forerib and facilitates enough topside shape. I'd like to make her wider as she goes away, but I think fundamental, attractive, flexible kind of breeding piece that has enough shape and is really good in terms of her skin and touch and composition. That's where I landed. There's a couple here that are definitely wider, boxier, bigger legged. At least one of them is here in 2 and 3. But, probably when you start to study their skeletons, they've gotten that mass by maybe compromising a little bit in terms of build. The one there that's going to go ahead and be second, definitely the most out there breeding piece after our class winner. But probably with that, wants to just open up and twist out in terms of her shoulder, probably just a little bit outside of herself in terms of her hind leg and hock as well. But if you like stout, that's definitely a really, really good one. I think one just in terms of a bold, productive kind of center body, facilitates some spread that even with maybe just a shot of cover on her still has a good aggressive kind of shape. Really for a goat, I think genuinely matches a big pen set and a wide base with that front 2/3 dimension. She's just a nickel too short bodied, especially there in terms of her hip structure. Probably not just neat enough and shallow enough there in terms of her chest. A doe that I probably like just a little bit more in terms of her scope here that comes in fourth. She's not near probably just productive enough in terms of her body. That one gets on the borderline of just a little bit flatter and more closed up there in her forerib. Wants to leave you in the same kind of fashion, but one you like from an attractiveness standpoint. The blonde-headed one here, I think just a nice kind of correct one that is good enough looking, stout enough in terms of how she handles up high, big in terms of her feature, maybe gets just a little bit plainer in terms of her neck shape, a little bit more general in terms of how she is assembled. Not a structural concern, but just a shot plainer. So we'll go ahead and keep her fifth. I think some intriguing breeding pieces you can sure tie into there as we get deeper and deeper into the class. But let's put your hands together for the deepest class we've seen yet.
Here's your results coming out of kid class number 3. Blue ribbon winners include Addison Vavracek from the Schuyler Central FFA, Alicia Johnson with the Silver Creek FFA, Briley Aarons with the Oakland Craig FFA, Aiden Boniface Blue Hill FFA, Addison Lemke with the Freeman FFA, Chloe Cutler is with the Central FFA, Faith Linweller with the Laurel Concord FFA, Judson Teachin with the Waverly FFA, Kaylee Davis with the Hyannis FFA. Purple ribbon winners will include Haley Finn with the Twin River FFA, Logan Bierman with the Wisner Pilger FFA, Barons Bay with the Wilbur Claytonia FFA. Second purple exhibited by Cammie Held with the Lee FFA, and first purple will go to Carrie Zaney with the Norfolk FFA. In the ring now is kid class number 4.
Here, the fourth class. Again, and I think there's lots of different types and kinds out here. Not just one that gravitates to you. The one I went ahead and landed on, not the hairiest one, not the highest presented one from ringside. And so what you guys see in the stands is totally what you get on that one. To be pretty honest, if we sheared that one off, she'd look about like she does. I think if we did the same thing to maybe some of the ones from behind, the ones that look really good just ringside in terms of presentation, maybe have some flaws underneath of it. The class winner, she's not just the stoutest in terms of her structure, doesn't have a lot of hair to cover that up, but I think that was genuinely opened up from end to end. I think she's probably just the truest and the roundest and the most massive in terms of her rib cage. Facilitates a big kind of spread up high that's square enough in terms of its shape. She's probably, we got some that maybe are getting a little bit of cover on them. I think that one's still pretty true in terms of that. So I think a skeleton that is correct, and I can really appreciate that one lays the most genuine rib and most natural width on that skeleton. And so I think that's the problem-free one that went ahead and sorted up for me. Another one that I really like just from a balance and silhouette standpoint is the one here in second. She's really, really good in how her neck comes out of her shoulder and, how her tail head lays into the top side of her hip. I think got the right kind of just lines and sweep to her lower body. She probably just wants to maybe not as bold right out of the backside of her blade in terms of where her rack starts. Maybe just needs to be pried apart on either side of her pin set. I think there's an intriguing one in third that probably has a lot of fans. The young man does an awesome job getting that one stuck. Got big bones and plenty of hair on top of it, so looks good from the outside. I think, is right. You study that one on either end, though, and you start to question its genuine width. Probably one that's just a little plainer and deeper in terms of her plate. That one leaving you is not near it wide enough, not near good and square enough in terms of her hock, and so I went ahead and left her third. The paint, though, here that comes out in fourth, I think one that's really, just maternal in terms of her body cavity, one that's really just functional and flexible in terms of her feet and legs. She's a shorter-bodied goat that probably maybe just takes maternal a little bit too far in a kind of doe kid class. She wanting to get just a little bit plainer and not as just descript in terms of her back shape. Probably not just as powerful as she leaves you as well, but definitely like the flexibility and the femininity in that one. A big outline, stout structured kind of goat here that comes in fifth, this long-shouldered one. Probably with that, I think she handles wide enough from end to end, but probably when you start to just study her from a balance standpoint, comes in just a few too many pieces compared to those ones ahead of her. Like I said, some give and take, some really stout ones that come next, maybe that just aren't late enough, maturing, and correct enough in their skeleton for me. A good group here, I think, will bring back the firsts and seconds and pick you a couple out of a really strong division of does. Let's give them all a round of applause.
As they get those purple ones and purple twos organized here ringside, here's your results of kid class number 4. Red ribbon winners will include McKenna Shea from the West Holt FFA, Cash Parrish from the Heartland FFA, Cal Rippey from the Wilcox Hildreth FFA. Now, blue ribbon winners are Logan Berman from the Wisner Pilger FFA, Allison Rezak from the Central FFA, Judson Teachin from the Waverly FFA, Hadley Picorni from the Wheeler Central FFA, Aiden Bierman from the Wisner Pilger FFA, Maya Jones from the Ansley FFA, Tavri Viras from the Thayer Central FFA, and Taylor Shea from the West Holt FFA. Your purple ribbon winners include Elena Fangmeyer from the Thayer Central FFA, Allison Kemp from the Wallace FFA, Seth Williams from the Bishop Newman FFA. Second purple will go to Kaylee Davis of the Hyannis FFA, and first purple out of class number 4 is Jacob Schultz from the Syracuse Dunbar Avoca FFA.
Well, four classes, quite a few numbers in each of them, and a lot of quality that we have out here as a result of those four classes. Not everything is from the same mold. Kind of had to prioritize some different things as we went through those classes, but I think, a set of 8 out here that are quality stock that represent the good ones that we sorted through to get here. Still some type and kind differences. I think putting the most totals together, a skeleton that you can tolerate, but then is functional, but then you can and put the most extras onto that skeleton. There's probably maybe just some different dynamics that make it tough and have some different decisions that you can make. I'll go out and show you the couple that I like here as we wrap things up in this division and then roll into the older ones. But would you please, for all these exhibitors, put your hands together for a really strong set of showmen and goats both. Well, just one class of yearlings, so I think in the commercial drive we'll have these two represent this class and division, and I think a quality pair of yearlings that are still in good kind of show shape. These kind of longer marked females, I think between the two of them, there's just some slight trade-offs. The one I go ahead and use to win, I think that one's just a shot longer and more attractive there in her front 1/3. She draws back probably just longer and leveler in terms of how she handles her hip. I like that one just from a function standpoint and a maternal kind of body shape. She's got enough genuine width for me today. The paint doe here, though, if you want to take one that's probably just a shot bigger in terms of her chest, still handles with a pretty big spread in terms of her back and got the pin set to match. Definitely like that one. She's a shot shorter bodied, maybe a little bit rounder out of her hip. Probably just a little bit more hesitant there in terms of her knee and how she handles her front foot, but a good pair with trade-offs there. Pair of does that come out in 3rd and 4th that are a little bit more moderate in terms of their kind and just a little bit rougher in terms of their design. I think the traditional marked one here, the red one, is just more acceptable in terms of her structure between the pair that are kind of similar in their type and kind. The black doe, I think a really neat look there in terms of a stout skull and skinny neck, but probably just doesn't operate in terms of her skeleton quite to the right degree that I'm after. Big, broody, productive paint doe here that, I think will definitely go into production and be really, really functional. She's got just a shot more condition than some of these out here that detracts from her look, but still a functional one, no doubt. 3 more here, I think a good class of yearlings. Put your hands together for all of them, please.
We have one final class in our commercial breeding does. This will be our mature does, born before January 1st of 22. Your results of our yearling class. Blue ribbon winners will include Aiden Schindler from the Hardington Newcastle FFA, Aaliyah Negley from the Gothenburg FFA, and Chloe Cutlers from the Central FFA. Purple ribbon winners are Brooke Carey from the Westhold FFA, Skylar Hansen from the Seward FFA, and to Kylie Luby from the Seward FFA. Division Reserve and Purple winner is Mackenzie Fitzmyer from the Diller Odell FFA, and your division champion and Purple ribbon winner is Kaylee Davis from the Hyannis FFA. Again, this is our final class of commercials. These are commercial does born before January 1 of 22.
5 age does here, and I think a nice division to have so that these exhibitors, can put some of these goats to work, but still, bring them into the show ring and show them off as well. With that being said, the traditional marked one there, we're going to go ahead and lead off with, I think, a pretty safe winner out here for me. That one comes in and it's got the right kind of pieces and presents them really, really well. Maybe you study her in terms of her hip and hind leg and just the comfort. I don't know if she's just absolutely perfect, but definitely a nice one here amongst her contemporaries. I think you just go to the next most massive one that's got some chest and some productivity to her body and some performance. The one that we're going to have second here, the young man brings to us, I just don't think it's quite as neat looking as our class winner, but a nice one there for second. We're going to put the red doe third. I think one that's definitely maternal in terms of her body and flexible. Probably just gets a little bit more fragile and not near as stout. Probably the same can be said for the paints that are going to be fourth and fifth. Goats we just need to make wider from end to end. Maybe clean them up in terms of composition just to give them a little bit neater look. A nice set. Let's put your hands together for these 5.
As we're getting them all lined up to bring in for your selection of your overall commercial, congratulations. In the doe class, blue ribbon winners include Aiden Schindler with a Hartington Newcastle FFA, Faith Unwiller with the Laurel Concord FFA. Purple ribbon winners will be Abby Negley with the Gothenburg FFA. Reserve in the division goes to Zach Pittman from the Norris FFA, and your first purple and division champion is to Shelby Carr from the Alliance FFA. Now, as you can see them entering, representing the commercial kid class, Taya Hamilton from the Nebraska Ag Academy. In the yearlings, Kaylee Davis from the Hyannis FFA, and in the does, Shelby Carr from the Alliance FFA. And then for the commercial kid, second is Ashley Saney from Norfolk. The yearlings is Mackenzie Fitzmeyer from Diller Odell FFA. And in the does, Zach Pittman from the Norris FFA.
We're going to go 3 deep here to represent the commercial breed or division against the purebreds here in a moment. A really strong group. We talked about them, in their classes. We broke those doe kids down pretty good. in their classes and then again in their division. So not going to take any more time. I think all of them deserve a round of applause. We're going to double up on doe kids for grain and reserve and use the mature doe for third though. Put your hands together for them all.
Well, congratulations to Taya Hamilton from the Nebraska Ag Academy, your overall commercial grand. And congratulations to Ashley Saney from the Norfolk FFA, your overall reserve from the commercials. If we've got them lined up, ready to hit our breeding side, registered breeding, we're going to start out with our registered kid class. All right, as we get underway with our registered side of our FFA show this evening, this is your registered breeding doe kids.
Well, here on the purebred side, I think all three divisions, age divisions, are just single classes. Really nice class winner, I think, to go ahead and start. One that hits the ring, fresh and genuine in terms of her width and got a good show ring presence. I think just puts a lot of good things together to go ahead and win this class pretty easily. Maybe not the most flexible in her spine and hind leg, but a lot of positives there still. Nice, just big-bodied, kind of productive doe that we're going to go ahead and use in second here. One that I think just from a functional standpoint, really, really good. Probably just not quite as neat in terms of how she handles her lines and just her look when we set her into motion. Probably the decision was between second and third for me. Kind of a smaller outline doe here that's in third. Probably is just a shot more feminine, refined, and neat there about feature in terms of her front 1/3. I still think got the right kind of body shape. Probably just not quite big enough in terms of just her dimension and topside shape. A nice set here, top to bottom, a good set of really functional breeding does here in this class. Put your hands together for all of them, would you, please?
Our next group to come on in will be our yearlings. These are January through September of 2022. Here's your results of our registered kid class. Blue ribbon winners include Megan Benzel from the Cambridge FFA. Megan had a second one in the ring as well. Kylie Luby with the Seward FFA. Aya Havok with the Freeman FFA. Trevin Viras with the Thayer Central FFA. And Kylie Luby with the Seward FFA. Your reserve champion out of the kid class in the division will go to Drake Lemke with the Freeman FFA, and your champion for the kid division comes out of the Seward FFA and Kelsey Luby. Again, entering the ring now is your yearling registered class.
Well, a nice trio, I think, fit together, and tough decision between the three because of the quality. I think probably of the three, the one that just hit me as kind of right in terms of her condition for a yearling, and still pretty honest in her look. And what you see is what you get. Is the one we're going to go ahead and use for the class winner. I think that one's just presence in terms of her femininity, how she handles herself is really, really nice. Probably two that have a shot more condition on them that come in second and third. Probably the one that I read to be just a shot more massive and more productive in terms of her rib, a little bit stouter in terms of just her feature and her true dimension is the one in second. That one maybe is just a little bit plainer in terms of her look, her throat, and just the construction to her hip. Really like just really neat neck and just really feminine head shape to the one in third. I think that one draws back really long and level and got a good presence. Probably just the fat she's starting to put there in terms of her chest. Maybe just throws off her balance just a shot. So some differences there between second and third. Nice trio, though, and really a good set of yearlings here. Let's give them all a hand, would you please?
We'll get you those results of the yearling class here in just a moment. We'll have two entries coming in our doe class. These are does born before January 1 of 2022. Here's the results of that yearling class. Blue ribbon winners include Madison Kretschmeyer from the Shelton FFA, Carter Warner from the Syracuse Dunbar Avoca FFA, Abby Negley from the Gothenburg FFA, Debbie Veras from the Thayer Central FFA, Ila Havlicka from the Freeman FFA, Kylie Luby from the Seward FFA, Trevin Veras from the Thayer Central FFA, and Drake Lemke from the Freeman FFA. Purple ribbon winners will include Elena Cutlers from the Central FFA and your Grand and Reserve, both exhibited by Kelsey Luby from the Seward FFA.
Our age doe class here, just a pair of them, so we'll circle them right back around. I think a nice pair, probably, the longer bodied, higher performing doe. I think still more attractive that we're going to go ahead and use to win. Not the stoutest in terms of her feature, but I think just the trueness and flex to her lower joints is probably better than the kind of speckle necked one we have in second. No doubt a moderate, bold ribbed one that's plenty stout in terms of just her feature. You study her in her skull and bone work. Probably with that, maybe just a little bit of extra throat, a little bit plainer in her look. There's some trade-offs. We'll rack them right back up and pick you a top three here for the full-blood side. Put your hands together, though, would you please?
And congratulations, your purple ribbon winners, and the division champion is Madison Kirschmeyer from the Shelton FFA. Your reserve champion is Mackenzie Pitzmeyer from the Diller Odell FFA. We'll get them organized here on the registered side to bring our girls back in to make your selection of your overall grand before the Supreme Drive. Coming in the registered for the kids, Kelsey Luby from the Seward FFA. In the yearlings, Kelsey Luby with the Seward FFA. And in the does, Madison Krameyer from the Shelton FFA. Your reserves representing the kid division, Drake Lemke from the Freeman FFA. In the yearlings, Kelsey Luby from the Seward FFA. And for the does, Mackenzie Pitzmeyer from the Diller Odell FFA.
Well, not quite as many numbers as the commercial half of the show, but I still think a group of exhibitors and projects that definitely deserve a lot of recognition and brought a really good group out here. We're going to circle, pick 3 out of these and bring those right back with the commercials. But so put your hands together for these exhibitors in the full blood side. I'll show you the 3 and we'll re-rack.
Congratulations, your overall grand of the registered goes to Kelsey Luby from the Seward FFA out of the yearling class, and your reserve comes out of the kid class as well with Kelsey Luby. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the time is upon us to pick your supreme of our boar goats, our meat goats that are coming in the ring right now, representing the commercial. Your grand was to Taya Hamilton of the Nebraska Ag Academy. Your reserve goes to Ashley Husseini of the Norfolk FFA. And on the registered side, representing the yearling class, Kelsey Luby from the Seward FFA. And your reserve out of the kid class, also exhibited by Kelsey Luby of the Seward FFA. While this selection is underway, we'd like to give a big shout out and thank you again to Forest Goat Expo, Southeast Community College, and the Nebraska FFA alumni and supporters for their support of the FFA Breeding Goat Show.
Well, here we're gonna pick a top 3 overall, and been a fun show to sort through the divisions, the breeds, and then we get them all back out here. We got stock to feed, kids to feed, parents to feed, and then another morning to do it all again. So just want to express my thanks. We'll see everyone again in the morning. Would you please put your hands together though for a great group of exhibitors. Showmanship was awesome, and then I think a great grand drive there, a great grand drive here. So I'll show you the 3 I like, and we'll see you in the morning.
Congratulations to Taya Hamilton from the Nebraska Ag Academy, your overall Supreme Champion, coming with the commercial kid class. Your reserve will go to Ashley Siney from the Norfolk FFA, and then in third from the yearling class on the registered side, Kelsey Luby. We're going to kick it all off tomorrow morning, 8:30 with the sheep and at 11:30 with the goats.